Hey everyone, it's Christina here. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Something on my screen is going to annoy me. So I want to say hi. How you going? If you are on or if you are joining me live, let me know you're here. Say hi. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, all of the things. I'm just going to quickly go share this into a couple of groups, because I think I've got something that I actually really want to share. So I have just had a session with one of my clients, which is one of my favorite things about working with my clients is that we do both the emotional work and the food and the spiritual work at the same time. If their client is open to it, because some of my clients aren't really open to it, or some of them are working with other practitioners who are doing different things as well. So some of my clients aren't necessarily open to it, but some of my clients absolutely are. And so I wanted to come and share this little pearl of wisdom that came from this session that I was having with my client. And she's taking on the journey of entering into the GAPS diet, which is, a little bit challenging in itself. Like, there are, especially this time of year, it can be quite challenging to start if you're in Australia. If you're in like America or the US or whatever, where it's cold right now, now's the time to start the GAPS diet. If you are ready to up level and you're ready to like really look after your health and your gut and all of the things, like, now is the time to start. But some of my clients start at the end of the year. If they're in Australia, they start at the end of the year because we have like this big gap in school. We have, we've finished all the Christmas stuff, and we want to, we want to get some healing in before, birthdays and all the other things start. So some of my clients just start, and it's because they've got a good enough reason to start. Like, they're over being sick, they're done with it, they're ready, they just can't tolerate it anymore. And so as we're working together, we're doing the emotional repair as well, because we are not single. Like, we're not just food, we're not just herbs, we're not just our mindset. We're actually a culmination of all of the things. So we're a combination of our mind, body, spirit, soul, all of that. We're a combination of all of those things, and one interrelates into the other, and the other interrelates into the other. So if one is out of balance, all end up being out of balance in some way, shape, or form, because we are a whole being. We're not just a single, sometimes I think it would be so much easier if we just were single type organisms that had one facet to us, because then it would just be like, just do this. But we aren't. We are individuals with individual stories, individual experiences and circumstances, all of those things. We are all of ours, all of the parts of ourselves. We're not just one single part, we're all of the parts. So as we're working together and we're talking about, we're changing diet, we're, starting to unpack, like, when we start to take away the food, that's when we actually start to see what are the stories behind the food. Like, what was the food hiding? What was the food helping us not see? Or what was the food sort of our escapism of, or escape for? What was the food actually stopping us from emotionally seeing that was taking place in our life? And that there is where actually the real work comes. Like, the eating of the food is not the hard part. It is the what was it hiding, and trying not to go back to the methods of hiding that again, and actually facing what comes up. And as I'm sharing with my client today, I was talking about our inner child and how we all have a little person still living inside of us. So the little Christina who went through the experiences that little Christina went through, she still lives inside of me. She's still there. She still knows all of the things that happened. And while I might reflect back on my history and my past and my memories, and I can't remember big chunks of it, or I can't remember all of it, or there's specific things that I go, nah, I can't actually remember that. Where, I might have siblings that talk about it and they remember it, or I have friends that were there and they talk about it. I can't actually remember it. And so the exercise is to think back to what some of your earliest memories are. Think of some positive memories and think of some sad memories. You want to be able to remember both. And if you're finding that you actually can't remember that much, like, or like, for example, I've been doing some inner work around a particular theme, and I can find lots of negative stuff around that, but I can't seem to find like lots of the good stuff. And that's because I've done some blocking out, and we block and delete the things that don't align with our beliefs at that point in time. And so my inner child still knows all those things. She still knows all of the things that I went through, all the meanings that I created of the things, how I felt when something particular happened. She still remembers all of those. She's still got access to all of those. They're never actually, the delete bin is never actually emptied in our brain. It is still actually there. And she remembers all of those. And she is like a child still. And just like any child, when they have a big secret that they want to share, or that they need to talk about, or they're scared of, or they're afraid of, they only tell the adult when they feel the adult is trustworthy, when they feel that the adult is going to honor them. Because remember, she's been through all of the pain. She has all of the memories of the wounds, the times when people let her down, the times when people didn't keep promises, all of that type of stuff. She carries that pain and that memory within her. And so in order for her to tell her secrets, she needs to feel like Big Christina is trustworthy. So I create that trustworthiness, and my clients create that trustworthiness when they start keeping their promises to themselves. And this specifically starts to walk out when they're making things like dietary changes. Like, how many times have you promised yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it? Like, this year I'm going to cut down on my sugar intake, and then by the end of the year you haven't really done it. Like, you maybe did it for 3 weeks, but then you stopped doing it. Your little inner person, inner child, knows that, and she's waiting for you to keep your promises. She's waiting for you to keep your promises so she can tell you the secrets that you need to hear in order to heal your heart, in order to heal your soul, in order to let go of the emotional baggage that you're carrying around. She knows the secrets that are there. She knows the words that you need to hear. She knows all of that stuff, and she has access to all of that. But she won't pass that information on to you until you start honoring your promises. And so some of honoring those promises are listening to your body and honoring, what does it actually need? Not do what I want to give it, but what does it actually need? What is it actually asking for? Am I just giving it food when it's really asking for water? Actually giving it what it needs and providing it with the food that it actually needs to thrive and repair and do all the things that it needs to do. Actually giving it what it needs and honoring it. So if it needs to have a rest, actually giving it that rest and honoring it by providing it with that moment of rest, that moment of pause, that rest and restoration period. Actually listening to what it needs and honoring it. And then also following through on the promises that you make for yourself. Following through on, if this is the year that you've said, okay, I'm really consciously choosing health this year, and you don't actually do anything about it, then you're letting your inner child down, and you're telling her that you're not trustworthy. So then she won't tell you the secrets. She won't tell you the things that you need to hear in order to heal the wounds. She won't be available to create space for that because you've not been an honoring and trustworthy adult. Hey Tara, nice to see you here. So in order for us to do some of this work, we have to build trust within ourselves as well. So we have to do the things that we said that we were going to do. So if we said we're not going to eat chocolate, then we're just going to decide to not eat chocolate, and we're going to figure out, why am I eating that thing? And I'm not saying chocolate's bad. I'm saying if you've said that, maybe you need to consider what you're going to do. But as we take out the food, we often discover all of the things that food has been helping us avoid, all of the emotional baggage and the emotional stuff that it's been helping us to kind of pacify ourselves with, cover up, hide from. And as we release that, we then actually also release our little inner child to tell us the secrets, to be that safe adult for her to actually share her wounds with, to share how she's feeling, to share what's going on for her so that she can be healed and she can be loved and she can be told the things that she actually needs to hear, that you can then tell her, because now you know what it is. You know that she created meaning out of this thing that had nothing to do with her, that had, you know, nothing to, like, it really was not about her. It was about the magical big people that were in her life. It wasn't really about her. And you can tell her that. You can have those conversations with her and love her up and nourish her in the way that she needs to be nourished, that she didn't get in that moment in time as a child. But that begins with us being trustworthy to our little inner child. And that begins by being trustworthy with ourselves, honoring our body, following through on the promises that we make for ourselves. So yes, I absolutely think this is such an important conversation, because we often think of, and that's what I see with, you know, some of my new clients, is that they come in and they say, oh, I just need this, when actually it's a whole picture, because it's never just one thing. It's very rarely actually just one thing. Occasionally I'll get someone in with a cold, and, you know, maybe it is just like that. But more often or not, it is, they've maybe developed the cold because they haven't been looking after themselves. They haven't been listening to their body. They've been ignoring it. They've been putting, you know, much more stress on themselves than they're actually able to handle, and they need to backtrack a little bit. So I want to continue having these conversations, because it's really important that we become trustworthy with ourselves. And diet is one of the ways that we become trustworthy, as we remove, and it's not just diet, it's all sorts of things. We all have all sorts of, you know, fire extinguishers that we use in order to not see and not have to deal and not have to manage and not have to look at the parts of ourselves that are maybe a little bit scary. We all have strategies that we use, and food is one of those strategies that is actually used. So then we end up with some physical misalignment as well. I think it's important that we continue these conversations, because in order to get healthy and well, we have to be well in all the parts of our lives. That includes physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, wealth, health, all of those things, the whole being, wellness. Like, all of the parts of ourselves get to be healthy and well and flourish. But it only happens when we really start to keep our promises with ourselves and look at where we've let ourselves down from a promise and where we've not followed through on something. Because actually that is often the space where we do the most learning. When we say, I'm going to walk every day, and we walk for like 14 days, and then on day 15 we go, oh, I don't want to do it today. And then day 16 we don't want to do it. Day 18 we don't want to do it. It's in the days that we don't want to do it that we actually find, why do we not want to do it? Like, what's coming up? What's actually there? What excuse am I giving? What reasons am I giving for not doing it? Some of it is maybe that you haven't created a really great, realistic thing that you can follow through on. But sometimes it's the stories that we tell ourselves, like, doesn't really matter. It's not doing that much good for me anyway. Who's gonna be upset if I don't walk? Well, you're going to be upset. Your inner child is going to be upset because you didn't get to go and play in the sun that day. There are a whole bunch of things in that. So I would love to, you know, continue those conversations with you and hear what you actually have to say and think about them. If you want to work with me privately, you can totally message me to work out how to do that. Currently, at the moment, though, I'm teaching people how to do what it is that I do. So if you're a nutritionist, naturopath, healer, Reiki, whatever it is that you use, and you want to add that coaching mindset element to your business, you're welcome to come join me for Coaching Academy, because I want as many healers as possible out there, and I see that we have collectively a lot of work to do in this area and a lot of conversations to have. So you're welcome to come join me for that. All right, look after your inner child. Start keeping your promises to yourself. Make really good promises, and then look at when you're not keeping them and why you're not keeping them and what's coming up for you there. All right, I'm going to sneeze. So I'm going to say goodbye before I do. See you later. Catch you next time.